Caitlin Clark for a long time. The league isn't going to fall off a cliff if she's not on the team.
The Olympics called and Caitlin Clark said no. In a stunning twist, the WNBA's most talked about rookie has reportedly turned down Team USA. And sources say it's not just about rest or recovery, it's revenge. After being snubbed from the official roster, is this Clark's clapback? Or is Team USA about to regret how they played her? No one saw it coming, not like this. After weeks of speculation, debate, and raw emotions surrounding the Team USA Olympic roster, Caitlin Clark made a decision that instantly flipped the script. She's not going to Paris, not as a star, not as a sub, not even as a shadow on the bench. Team USA called and Caitlin Clark said no. And just like that, the rookie, who is expected to be the future face of the WNBA, made it clear she's not here to beg. She's here to be respected, to understand the weight of that decision. You have to understand the lead up, the tension, the noise, and the disrespect that built over time. Caitlin Clark didn't just get left off the Team USA Olympic roster. She got snubbed in a way that sparked outrage across sports media, divided fans, and raised deeper questions about bias, control, and what it means to earn a place in a system built by veterans for veterans. Let's rewind. For months, the buzz around Caitlin Clark had been deafening. She was already one of the most decorated college athletes of all time. A record breaker, a ratings magnet, a movement. The moment she declared for the WNBA draft, the expectation was clear. Clark wasn't just entering the league. She was going to lift it. Her impact was immediate. Sellouts, highest jersey sales, national broadcasts. Media attention unlike anything the league had ever seen was the spark, and everyone knew it. So when the official Team USA Olympic roster dropped, and Clark's name was nowhere to be found, the backlash was instant. Fans were furious. Sports talk shows exploded. Debates raged across Twitter and TikTok. How do you leave off the most talked about player in women's basketball? The player who arguably brought more new eyes to the sport in a year than anyone else in a decade. The explanations came quickly, but they didn't sit right. Some said she wasn't ready. Others said she lacked the experience. A few pointed to chemistry concerns with the existing Team USA veterans. But to Clark's supporters, it felt like something else. It felt personal, and the message was loud. You're good. But not one of us yet. The decision to leave her off wasn't just a basketball move. It became symbolic. For many, it felt like the old guard trying to humble the new. Like a generational wall being put up. The same gatekeeping that had defined women's sports for so long was now being used to block the very star who could help elevate it. And then came the alternate offer, according to multiple reports. After the roster, backlash got louder. USA Basketball quietly approached Clark's camp with a proposal. Come to Paris as a practice player. Not a full roster member, not an injury replacement, but a sparring partner. A warm body for scrimmages, an extra. The intent was to keep her close, maybe get a photo op, keep the headlines soft. But Clark's camp declined, politely, firmly. And now, officially, Caitlin Clark refused. And the second that decision dropped, the internet exploded again. But this time, it wasn't just anger. It was respect. Because whether you love her, hate her, or are still figuring her out, one thing became clear. Caitlin Clark isn't built to be someone's token. Her refusal wasn't petty. It wasn't emotional. It was a power move. A line in the sand. A declaration that if you don't see her value, she won't shrink to make you comfortable. Some called it revenge. Others called it principle. But the truth? It was both. By declining Team USA's alternate offer, Caitlin didn't just say no to Paris. She said no to the politics of appeasement.
Honestly, I have to just say that I respected the committee's job. I understood what was at play. I understood the pros and the cons, I guess, if you want to lay it out that way. And I think at the end of the day, it's hard to criticize.
No to being used for marketing without being given opportunity. No to playing by rules that weren't built for her in the first place, and that decision struck deeper than anyone expected. Veteran athletes weighed in both publicly and privately. Some respected it. Others felt she should have played the long game. One WNBA star posted, "Sometimes you eat what's served until it's your kitchen." A subtle jab, maybe, but also a reminder that Clark is walking a path few others have ever had to navigate. She's young, she's white, it's massively popular. It's from a college program that was treated like royalty. And now she's stepping into a professional world with its own unspoken codes, where hierarchy matters. Where you earn respect by staying quiet and waiting your turn. But that's not Caitlin Clark's style. And it never has been. This is the same player who pulled up from the logo Impact. Arenas with millions watching. The same player who took on the nation's best and came out breaking records. She didn't ask to be the face of women's basketball, but now that she is, it's not backing down from it. And maybe that's what makes this story so divisive. Because, on one hand, you have Team USA, a dynasty of dominance, tradition, and gold medals. On the other, a 22-year-old rookie refusing to take crumbs, even from giants. It's uncomfortable, it's disruptive, but it's real. And that's why this moment isn't just about one player skipping the Olympics. It's about a shift in the culture of women's basketball. For years, fans have begged for stars to act like stars, to demand better, to break free from the polite, over-disciplined media personas and speak with boldness. Now, one finally has. And the system doesn't quite know what to do with it. Clark's decision will have ripple effects. Sponsors will lean in or back off. The league will rethink how it protects and promotes its future icons. USA Basketball will have to reckon with how it defines team chemistry and whether it's code for keeping things comfortable instead of competitive. But for now, Caitlin Clark has made her choice. No Olympic jersey, no training camp, no practice squad smile for the cameras. It's just a clear message. If you didn't want me on the front line, don't call me for the background, and if that's revenge, maybe it's the kind the game needed all along. The moment Caitlin Clark officially turned down the offer to join Team USA as an alternate, the world didn't just react, it fractured. Some called her brave, others called her immature. But no matter which side of the debate you were on, one thing was undeniable. She had made her stand. And the shockwaves hit hard. The media, already reeling from the initial controversy of Clark's Olympic snub, now had more fuel than they knew what to do with. Major outlets dropped think pieces within hours. ESPN anchors clashed live on air. Talk shows used the moment to ask much bigger questions. Was Caitlin Clark punished for being too popular, too white, too young, or was she simply not ready? The noise was deafening. One camp applauded her decision. They said Clark did what few rookies dare to do, refuse to play politics. Instead of swallowing her pride and showing up to be a background player, she showed the country that she knows her worth, that she's not here to be a maybe next time experiment, that if she's good enough to draw record-breaking viewership and sell out arenas, she's good enough
to making the 5v5. And I don't know why there was ever that hope being given to her and that hope being given to fans. It was just a string along fans.
Good enough to start or not show up at all. That crowd, largely made up of new WNBA fans, mainstream sports media, and younger women inspired by Clark's confidence, hailed her move as disruptive leadership. They drew comparisons to Serena Williams, Megan Rapinoe, even Kobe Bryant. Athletes who weren't afraid to rattle the system, even if it meant making powerful people uncomfortable. But then came the other side, and they were just as loud. Veteran sports writers and former players flooded social media with critiques. "This isn't how you earn stripes," one ex-Olympian tweeted. "You take what's given, then take over." Another wrote, "Saying no to Team USA isn't a power move, it's a missed opportunity." This group argued that Clark should have gone not for herself, but for the culture, for the experience. for the chance to soak in the greatness of veterans and learn firsthand what it takes to win gold. They said she let pride cloud the bigger picture. That by refusing, she came off not as confident but entitled. What made the split even more intense was how racial undertones began to creep back into the discussion, like they did when she was initially left off the roster. Some critics suggested that Clark's refusal was being praised in a way that other players, particularly Black women, would never be allowed. That if a rising Black rookie had turned down Team USA, the media would have spun it as arrogance, not empowerment. That there's a double standard when it comes to how defiance is interpreted based on who's delivering it. One viral post said, if Angel Reese said no to Team USA, they'd call her a diva. But Caitlyn does it, and she's a visionary. Nah, keep it fair. Others pointed out how quickly the narrative turned to forgiveness and support for Clark. Despite the magnitude of what she'd done, turning down the chance to represent the United States in the Olympics. A move most athletes would never dare. Even Clark supporters were forced to wrestle with that uncomfortable reality. The WNBA already carrying complex layers of race, class, and power, now had to navigate a story that touched all of it at once. Meanwhile, inside the league, the reaction was mixed and very quiet. Few current WNBA players spoke out directly, but the subtweets were loud. One player tweeted, "The real ones know how to grind through the doors that don't open the first time." Another posted a video clip of Diana Taurasi, who did make the Olympic roster, with the caption, "Still the blueprint." But there were signs of support too. A former player wrote, "Clark is protecting her energy. If you've never had your success politicized, you wouldn't understand." Caitlyn herself, though, stayed silent. No Instagram post. No interview. Quote, no statement. And that silence made people talk even more. Was she shaken? Or was she just smart enough to let the world do the talking for her? Either way, the debate kept intensifying. Some argued that this decision will come back to haunt her. That she missed a chance to prove herself on the biggest stage and gain the kind of respect Team USA veterans could have given her. That she's now widened a cultural and generational divide in the league. Others saw the long game. They argued this was exactly what she needed to do. Pull back, regroup, dominate the WNBA season, and come back to the 2028 Olympics on her terms. They said her refusal made a statement that Team USA couldn't ignore. If you don't get to use me to build hype, if you won't put me on the roster, and maybe that's the heart of it all. Caitlin Clark didn't say no to the Olympics. She said no to being used, to being invited as a body, not a teammate. To being called only after public pressure forced their hand. To being told you're good enough to scrimmage, but not to represent. She said no to the token role. And in doing so, she reminded the world that being visible doesn't mean being valued.
There seems to be resentment of Caitlin Clark bringing the eyeballs in. And the thing that's the biggest head scratch is I don't think it's because of what...
The irony. The backlash she faced for not going as an alternate proved her point. They wanted her to be grateful, silent, to show up and smile for the cameras. But Clark has always played her own game, not just with a basketball, but with her decisions. And so now she continues her rookie season in the WNBA, no Paris spotlight. No Olympic warm-ups, no gold medal dream for 2024, just a fierce, unrelenting focus on proving she belongs where it matters most, on the court. In the league, on her terms, what happens next is uncertain. Maybe Team USA comes calling again in 2028. Maybe the coaching staff changes. Maybe the politics shift. Or maybe Caitlin Clark decides that international play isn't her story. Either way, Seuss changed the rules, not because she walked away, but because she walked away with power and didn't flinch. The shock may have worn off, but the aftershocks are still being felt. Caitlin Clark's decision to refuse Team USA's alternate spot at the 2024 Olympics didn't just end with a headline. It sent ripples across the sport, the league, and the future of how stars are treated in women's basketball. In the days after the news broke, there was a strange calm. No press tour, no reaction video, no cryptic Instagram captions. Caitlin went quiet, focused, locked in with the Indiana fever. While the media spun theories and social media split into factions, she'll let her game speak for her. And maybe that was the smartest move of all, because while the sports world debated whether she had made a mistake, Clark did the one thing only the greats do. She bet on herself. Let's be real, Caitlin Clark doesn't need the Olympics to validate her greatness. Not anymore. She's already changed the WNBA's media footprint, inspired millions, and brought in new fans by the thousands. But the conversation was never just about if she could go to Paris. It was about whether she needed to show up to stay in the system's good graces. And her refusal made one thing clear. She's not here to play the long game by old rules, as she's rewriting them. In the past, athletes were expected to wait their turn, stay humble, nod along, and hope their time would come. But Clark has shown that this new era, the era of real-time influence and brand visibility, gives players more power than ever. And if the establishment doesn't recognize that, they risk getting left behind. Her decision to turn down the alternate role was the move of someone who understands leverage, not arrogance. She knew that being on the Olympic team as an extra wouldn't enhance her game or legacy, would only give others credit for including her without actually elevating her. It was performative inclusion, and she knew it. Meanwhile, Team USA's PR team scrambled. They released generic statements, praising the talent pool, emphasizing team cohesion and chemistry. But the subtext was clear. This was damage control. Because now they had to send a team to Paris without the one player who could have guaranteed millions of new viewers. The person who had already proven her ability to drive viewership in every other context, and that's where things get complicated. By refusing the alternate role, Clark exposed a reality Team USA didn't want to admit. They need her more than she needs them. The Olympics are sacred. But in this digital age, where content drives culture and engagement equals currency, Clark's platform is bigger than a roster spot. She doesn't need Paris to trend. She doesn't need gold to be golden. She just needs a ball and a stage, and she's already proven she can make her own. The irony: her absence might end up being the biggest Olympic storyline anyway. What happens if Team USA stumbles? What if the offense struggles?
What did that moment in Connecticut mean to you, where you're able to make your first postseason start? You're able to have such an impact.
What if the chemistry they prioritized over raw talent doesn't hold up under global pressure? Every bad quarter, every missed shot, every tight game, people will ask, would Caitlin have made the difference? And if Team USA wins easily, sure, they'll validate their decision. But that won't erase the fact that the most talked about player in the league wasn't there by choice. Because make no mistake, that no from Clark will echo for years. Sponsors are watching. Networks are watching. Young athletes are watching. And most of all, other stars present and future are watching. They're watching how one 22-year-old just flipped the power dynamic in a space where even veterans hesitate to speak up. They're watching how she stood her ground, stayed silent, and somehow got even louder. And whether they agree with her or not, they can't deny the courage it took to walk away from something everyone's supposed to want. And that's what makes Caitlin Clark's story different. She's not just building a career. She's building a blueprint for every player who was told to wait their turn. For every rookie expected to shrink around the vets. For every woman who was given a maybe when she earned a yes. Caitlin made her choice. And now it's on Team USA and the rest of the basketball world to reckon with it. Of course. This isn't the end of her Olympic journey. She's young. She'll have other chances. 2028 in Los Angeles is already being whispered about. A domestic Olympics. It's a massive media machine, a storyline tailor-made for redemption. If Clark dominates the WNBA over the next few years, there won't be a debate. There won't be a discussion. She won't be an alternate. She'll be the first name on the list. But if she's not, politics still come into play? The same? Energy surrounds her for years from now. She might just say no again. And by then, she might not need the platform at all. Because what Caitlin Clark has proven is that legacy isn't always built in medals or ceremonies. Sometimes it's built in the moments where you say, I know who I am and I won't beg you to agree. And in doing that, she joined a small club of athletes who chose self-worth over spotlight. Muhammad Ali, who refused to be drafted. Naomi Osaka, who walked away from tournaments to protect her peace. Simone Biles, who prioritized her mental health over gold. Different stories. Different stakes, but the same core principle. I own my story, you don't. So where does this leave us? Team USA goes to Paris without Clark. The WNBA season continues. The conversation cools, but it never really ends. Because what Caitlin Clark did wasn't just about basketball, it was about boundaries. And that, in a sport and society that often demands women to be grateful for scraps, it's revolutionary. Years from now, people might look back on this moment and forget the scores. They might not remember who won gold. But they'll remember. The rookie who said no, the rookie who knew her value before anyone else confirmed it. The rookie who didn't flinch when the pressure hit. The rookie who refused to be background noise for someone else's legacy. Because sometimes the boldest move isn't stepping onto the world's biggest stage. Sometimes it's walking away from it and knowing it'll still come back to you. Caitlin Clark didn't miss her Olympic moment. She redefined it. Some call it revenge. Others call it respect. But now it's your turn. Was turning down Team USA a mistake or a master move? Drop your take in the comments, and if you're here for stories that go deeper than the headlines, the power plays, the pressure, and the players who flip the script, like, share, and subscribe. Because around here, we don't just follow the game, we follow the ones who change it.